And there was something about his face, the lines around his eyes that had softened, the desperation that had hovered just below the surface of his every move had faded to a chic worldliness. There was less of an edge to his gaze, fewer moments when the armor of ambition snapped into place. His contentment drove her crazy. Cynicism she could do, fatalism even. Her grandmother had lived that one to the fullest. But contentment? It was too assured, too passive. It left the scratch unitched, the question unanswered. For someone like Diana, who hunted, kept, and traded secrets for a living, it was anathema. Couldn't she just be happy he was happy? She was, of course she was. At the very least, he deserved a welcome respite after what he'd gone through. But then again, she wasn't. Her annoyance burned brighter because it was so patently unjustifiable. She resented herself for resenting him. It was a vicious cycle that she didn't know how to reverse. As the stack of pancakes dwindled and the food coma set in, their conversation waned. Dag told her about the new series of drawings he was working on, sketches capturing the multi-year fire that had consumed all of Southern California. His enthusiasm for the project was ardent, fueled by guilt over how he'd helped others profit from the historic disaster. But Diana put her side of the conversation on practiced autopilot and surreptitiously scanned headlines on her feed. Seasteaders were buying up distressed oil and gas assets, converting abandoned offshore drilling platforms into tiny, sovereign communities. The acerbity of their overlong manifestos suggested that actually trying to live the libertarian ideal wasn't much fun after all. Disney was holding a press conference at their Singaporean headquarters, announcing a Star Wars reboot that would extend the franchise into a new trilogy of immersive feed dramas. Foreign policy forums still bristled with debate over the questionable legal basis for Commonwealth's term of service update that had implemented a global carbon tax 3 years prior. Leading scientists pointed out that it was the first international regulatory effort that had actually resulted in declining emissions, enforcement guaranteed by the threat of losing access to the feed. But President Lopez had harshly criticized the move in a recent interview, sparking renewed speculation that the U.S. was preparing to take a firmer hand with the tech conglomerate that ran the feed. In Diana's own feed, Lopez leaned forward in his chair to deliver a talking point, earnest and intense. The squat man, with his conservative suit and thick gray hair, invoked a host of conflicting memories for Diana. He was one of the few politicians who genuinely strived to make people's lives better, rather than boost his own polling numbers. Sure, he had a healthy ego. That was guaranteed in every candidate who had ever stood for election. But Lopez had been steadfast in supporting evidence-based policy, even when the tide of public opinion turned against him. If the ultimate judge of character was action taken under duress, Lopez wasn't all bad. He had served as vice president under Freeman until the heart attack that had resulted in the mother of all promotions. Years later, Lopez had campaigned and won a second term. He was a kind of leader Diana would have been proud to serve during her tenure at the CIA. Too bad she knew more than she cared to admit about his ascent to power. Diana couldn't see Lopez without thinking about Helen. Helen, who would have so much to say about Diana's present predicament. Espionage requires sacrifice. Her southern accent had garnished the words like powdered sugar. We are the shield that guards the innocent, the shadow passing in the night that allows others to sleep in peace. Within these walls, America is our only soulmate. Fuck who you like as long as it doesn't endanger the mission. Love if you can't help it. But trust? Never. Helen, with her ready maxims and unflinching confidence. Helen, who had taken Diana under her wing when she emerged green and eager from covert action training. Helen, who was the mistress of a secret history Diana could never quite escape. Diana's stomach turned, the remains of the rich meal suddenly nauseating. Who knows, maybe we could go off-grid. Start over, Dag was saying. Find a little...